Hello, my fine listeners. This is Jim the Keys Bartender coming to you back from my overseas travel in Poland here in Key Largo. And 2 weeks, whenever I go away from here, it's amazing, especially since I had left right at the beginning of what we call lobster mini season. And if you go back to past episodes, you'll know that lobster mini season is, for the Caribbean lobster they have down here, allows just regular people to take 6 lobsters per day for 48 hours. And I missed that. It's kind of when I'm saying missed it, I didn't miss it. I missed it because I wasn't here. I never went out for it. I just thought it was kind of like a free-for-all. Everyone dropping in their boats and grabbing Caribbean lobster. I'm not really nuts about lobster, especially Caribbean lobster. I'm a cold water lobster guy. But I was told it was eventful, meaning it was busy and it was fun and people had a good time. And I understand why people would. It's just like a lot of things to do. I'm not a big fan of the event because it comes right before the commercial season. And even though I don't know in particular people that just depend on lobstering, I can imagine that to watch a bunch of people go in after your livelihood. And a lot of people, I'd have to say there's a small but active minority of people that show up for lobster mini season that abuse it. So you're only supposed to get 6 lobsters per person that on a boat. And that's the whole day. And people, what they do, and they catch them every so often, they would take a cooler, fill up a cooler, take it off the boat, get another boat, transport it to the docks, fill up a cooler again. As long as you just don't have it on your boat with your people, then you're good. And but I imagine if you're listening to this show, you're not the kind of person to do something like that. You would already you're not guilt-ridden by it. You're not guilt-ridden. You just don't listen to people that tell you you're an asshole because you abuse the privilege of being able to take these things. And from what I understand is that they replenish pretty quickly because I can't go into depth on it because I'm not an expert on it, so I won't. Just saying that the eggs and the way they flow and stuff like that, it's a circular path from the from the mangroves out and things like that. So no matter whenever they clear all the lobsters out, there's always more lobsters next season, which is an oddity when you think about it, because whenever they take all the fish out of an area, a lot of times you don't see any more fish. So it kind of destroys the ecosystem. But you know how humans are, right? They just seem to just take until it's gone. Remember, Massachusetts, there's a place called Cape Cod, and what don't they have at Cape Cod anymore? They don't have cod because those fisheries were overfished. And everyone does it, not just Americans. And Chinese are doing it now. I'm sure the Russians have done. Japanese still whaling. But this show isn't about that. So I was gone for 2 weeks. My girls were gone for 7 weeks. I don't think I did any podcasting from the airport, but I had left last Friday. On Thursday day, I'm going to finish up talking about that. On Thursday day, we're staying in my wife's hometown. So we're going to be traveling the next day on Friday. This is last Friday, with my daughter Sky, Abby, and Abby's sister Yolanda and I. And in order to get on the plane when you're checking in, you have to have a negative test for COVID. And what we did is we went to a local hospital in our hometown. And we went to the hospital, And it's funny because some restaurants require it and stores require masks. But we went to the hospital, and the hospital, half the people that worked there were wearing masks, half of them weren't. So we went and got the test. There were it took 45 minutes to get the results. 45 minutes. So we had our test results. We had spent our last day saying goodbye. Oh, it's a funny thing. On Wednesday night, our rental car, we were visiting Abby's brother in a town a little east and north of Abby's hometown. Let's say about 30, 40 kilometers. And we stayed till... I'm not drinking, so I'm the designated driver the whole time. They're in the country, and so we're in Poland. We're in a place called Tarnów, and they're saying goodbye, tearful goodbye to their family. And we get in the car, and it won't start. It don't even have that click, click, click of the starter trying to turn, and not having enough battery power. It's, cars today, a lot of the cars, they seem that they're like golf carts where when you're idling, they just go to a real low idle or even turn off. And it's kind of ignitions. The engine starts up when you hit the pedal. Well, it didn't do any of that, but there was plenty of battery power because all the accessories were working. And there seemed to be excess juice. So I think that wasn't it. We thought. And it turned out, at the end, it was funny because they're very handy over there. I'm handy too, but, they started opening up the hood, and they were looking at the car and all this stuff, and I thought they were going to start taking it apart, the guys, the nephew, Dominic, and the father, Bogdan. So, no, they didn't. And... They didn't take it apart, and when the wife called the rental agency, it turned out they disabled the car because it had a certain amount of time where it needed an oil change, and they disabled it, and they were trying to get a hold of her, and they may have had the wrong phone number or whatever, but they didn't get through, and they just said, well, we'll disable it and they'll have to call us. And we didn't. It took us about 40 minutes to get it restarted, and then they told us they had to change out one day before we were leaving. We had to change out the car, which I really don't understand. We would never have put on... we would have put another 60 kilometers on it, which works out to be about 40 miles. So I don't know how that would have avoided the... whatever warranty to get oil change and things like that, but they were really tricky about that. And even the day we got back, they re-enabled the car Thursday night. Friday morning, I got up and they disabled it again. It was sitting right there, and we had to go and get the test. And we ended up having to walk into town. And then they started calling us that when could they meet us, and they said, well, we're walking now because you disabled the car. So we'll be back when we get back. The town wasn't that far away. It was less than a half a mile, so we walked into town and got our test and all that stuff. And then we got a new car and all that stuff. And yeah, everything pretty much was cut and dry there. We showed up at a small regional airport on Friday around 10:30. I think it was around 10:30. And they started boarding flight around 12. And it's a nice, modern, small regional airport where you go on the second floor and there's literally 4 gates that go out. And they got a little duty-free shop, little snack bar, and stuff like that. And we got on a plane, flew to Warsaw. Oh, we had turned over our test when we were checking in. They saw those, gave them back to us, and gave us a ticket. They wouldn't have gave us a ticket. They wouldn't have booked us if we didn't have the test. So that we're traveling inside of Poland right now. So that's when they looked at the test. Okay. Which it wasn't a requirement for Poland, but it was a requirement for the U.S., the test for leaving, because I don't think they really care if you're leaving, whether you take the test. They would probably want you out if you end up positive. But we go to Warsaw. It's a big airport. It's maybe not as big as Berlin or maybe Paris, but it's a pretty big airport. Lots of gates. And we go there, and we have to go through European customs, and they ask for the test again when you're going through. I don't know if they were asking for the test then. I'm not sure. But it may be that they didn't ask for another test at all. So if I had gotten into that airport without a test, once we got to the gate where we're supposed to leave, there was... they checked your ticket, but you needed to sign a piece of paper that said you had a negative test within 3 days. One side's English, one side's Polish. And you sign them. And that was it. And they give you the paper right before you get on the plane. And they didn't show them any of the tests. So if we had figured a way on how to get into the airport without getting, I guess... They used to, I really, it's kind of convoluted. I don't understand why, if you take the test, why do you have to fill out a paper? Why don't you just hand in the test? When you'd rather have the test than a piece of paper that says you swear you got a test. But there's no proof that you had a test other than that you had a test and it's negative. But we got on a plane. It was a nice plane. It was a Dreamliner, I think, a 787. Not sure. Maybe it was an Airbus or anything like that. Not super big. Not a jumbo. It has that, what's that? It was a 333 configuration, one level. 3 seats on the one side, 3 seats in the middle, three on the side. So we get there. We didn't get all our seats together, but got all 3 girls in one row, and I'm immediately behind them in a row. And as we got on the plane, the wife noticed that there's a young lady sitting next to her on the left side, and there's 2 empty seats. And she goes, you should just go and sit there. And I'm like, well, I'm self-aware. I realize maybe I should ask, even though you don't really have to ask, but I do. So I said, hey, would you mind if I sat there? And she goes, no, not at all. And I sat there, and it turned out very nice woman. I don't know if I should say her name on the plane, but she was she's a lawyer or paralegal. We didn't get into detail about it, but she works at a law firm in Miami, and she's native Montenegro. It's a former Yugoslavian republic. I think it's on the south side of Croatia. But she was there, and it's kind of I don't even know how to describe it, but if you ever saw the movie, they show the best sides of Montenegro in the movie Casino Royale, the James Bond one, and the one with Daniel Craig. The beautiful parts of it, but it's ocean. It's right on the Adriatic, I guess, and it has mountains, and she was born there, but you could tell her accent. She's American, and her father's from there. And she had taken a trip that had taken about 2 more hours than we had, and we sat there and we talked the whole time. Very nice young woman. I think she was 30-something. Turned out, but the way she talked, I was guessing her age because now by she looked, she could have been 28. It turned out she was a little older than that. I shouldn't say, but I didn't say her name, so that's good. But I guess if there's a person in Miami, I don't have hundreds of listeners in Miami. Maybe I have like 50 or 60. But what a sweet girl, pretty girl too. And we chatted a lot about history, about Montenegro, about flying, about she's originally from Montenegro, but I guess she was born in Montenegro. But she lived in Chicago most of her life, and I'm from Philadelphia, and we were just relating a big city thing, and she likes how much she likes Miami, and I think she moved to Miami right before COVID, and it worked out good, and sounds like she's very good at what she does, so it was nice. It was funny. My wife kind of said, "Hey, he talks a lot." She told him he talks a lot, so he did that. The flight back was uneventful. Watched a couple movies. Stupid. I didn't make allowances for sleep. It's 6 hours time change. And coming back is always a problem for me. Not so much going over. Coming back was always a problem. But I didn't know how much of a problem it was going to be. So the flight, like I said, the flight was great. The wife sent me back for some lemons one time, and I went in the back, and I'm talking to all the flight attendants. They speak Polish and English because in that part of the world, you get Ukrainians, Romanians, Hungarians, people that get into Miami. A lot of times they fly through Warsaw, so they said, they're going to do announcements in Polish and English. And the flight attendants speak English. So I go in the back, and I asked for some lemons. And right at the end, I don't know why, I always kind of do that. I said, "You guys are doing a really good job. You're very pleasant." There was one guy and two girls. I wasn't like, I'm at an age right now where I don't do that flirting thing with people because that's kind of ridiculous when you're in your late 50s. I mean, you could. I'm not the world's most interesting man, but I can play one more often if I wanted to pretend to be one. So I'm sitting there, and I'm standing there telling them how much I like it and how much I enjoyed their service and how hard their job was. And I told them I'm kind of like in the same business, which may have misled them because I work in a restaurant business. And I didn't say I was a bartender or anything like that. Well, I did my fast talking and all that stuff, and they were nice. They said, "Hey, take whatever you want," and with their accent, "Take whatever you want. And if you want drinks, go and help yourself. How much wine you want?" And, in international flights, they don't bother with wine and beer and stuff like that. They just say, if you want to get a beer, then come back and you can grab a couple beers. So, what I did was I walked back to the seat, gave it lemons and stuff like that, and then Abby went back eventually to get maybe some more water or coffee or something like that, and the flight attendant goes, "Does your husband fly for Air France?" And I go, and Abby goes, "What did you say to them?" And I said, "I did not say I was a pilot for Air France. I mentioned that I work in the restaurant business, but maybe I sounded something like I said Air. I don't remember saying Air or France or anything in combination of that. But I did attempt to say some Polish, like thank you, dziękuję, das widzenia, widzenia. It's not das widania, das widzenia, which is, there's a Polish and there's a Russian way. So I don't know what happened there. But the flight was, other than that, was uneventful. I had a wonderful time sitting there. Sometimes when I fly, especially when I'm not sleeping on it, my stomach starts bothering me. It's one of those things where, and I'm not, if you're eating, I apologize, but on a plane and you eat peanuts and all that stuff, you start feeling like you either have gas or diarrhea. And you don't want to have either one, really. And luckily, you have to get... being in my late 50s, I worried about drinking too much liquid and having to get up and down to go to the bathroom. I didn't want to have to do that. I didn't have to do that. I had to do it because I felt like I had gas. But I didn't know if it was, you're not sure if it's gas. It was gas. It was just upset stomach. And there wasn't anything attached to it, let's say. I don't have to go into detail. But that was the one thing. So we had the flight. We go there, to get them going through customs was crazy easy because it was almost 11 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night. and we had 4 people in front of us in the custom line. I mean, they had in Miami, they have a pretty vigorous setup there for that, and there wasn't long lines. And then we went out and we waited about 15 minutes for our luggage. It came up and came home. Now, I'm done talking about Poland. Let's talk about jet lag. Jet lag. Now, when you're coming home from a trip like that, you think, well, I'm coming home at midnight. I don't want to work. Really don't want to work the next morning. Right? Which I could have done that. I could have gotten up and just went into work and came home. It was a Saturday the next day. So I hadn't slept on the plane because I ended up chatting and watching movies, and I may have drifted off maybe 15, 20 minutes, which I should have done because with the 6 hours, it ended up Friday was 30 hours long. I go in Saturday, I shower, get ready, blah, 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 and walk in the door, and people are greeting me, the regulars are saying hi. There's not a ton of people there, so I didn't have, and I'm feeling pretty good. And then progressively, my body starts telling me, Jim, you fucking idiot. Why didn't you try to sleep some on the plane? Why didn't you sleep? Why didn't you sleep 3-4 hours? Well, I mean, it felt, my stomach started cramping. I thought it was coming down with, I had a problem breathing, but that was from fatigue. It was a fatigue. That's a thing I had. I had a problem breathing because of fatigue. My muscles, I felt like a baby. I tried to pick up like one of the things, like a 50-pound, whatever the box of syrup we use for our soda system. I'm picking it up. I'm using all my strength to do it, and it felt like I'm maybe twisting my back because I'm using half strength. I don't know if I can open up a twist off. Most of the wine bottles that have the plastic on it, I can just twist it off, power through it. I couldn't do that. I was slow. At one point, wait, my dog's freaking out. She's barking at a cat. Come on, Roxy. So, I can't even muster enough energy to fake it till you make it. Be happy. I was just. It was the weirdest fatigue thing I ever felt in my life. I've done the 2 days no sleeping when I was younger. And you feel kind of hollowed out when you're not sleeping. If you drank too much and you don't sleep too much and you're up. I've done that. I've done that before. And I had the headache. And I did it. And I could physically, I had done it. And this one just felt so much different. When I got in my car at the end of the night, yes, I drove there because I was kind of tired. It's only 2.5 blocks away. I didn't feel like walking. And when I was driving back, it felt to be the most impaired driving I've ever done. Remember, I don't drink anymore, or any less. No, I don't drink anymore. I abstain from drinking. So I was thinking, well, up here I got to make a left turn, and then I got to make a right turn, and put my lights on, make sure I back up. There's no one behind. I mean, it was a shit show. A time during the night, I'm making change, and I had to give someone. I can remember right now. It was 76.64 the change. 76.64, meaning there was 30. They had a bill 33.36. Okay, was the bill. And I had 120 in a drawer. I had 10s and 5s. And I had to give him the 20, and I needed 5 10s. Right? Oh, no, it was 70 something. Yeah, it was 70, so I had to give him 5 10s. And I kept on counting 6 10s and 5 10s. I'm doing for 3 minutes. I'm putting a 10 back in the drawer, and then I'm taking a 10 out. At one time, I'm counting 6 10s. Another time, I'm counting 4 10s. I couldn't get it right. It was like 3 minutes. It was incredibly bad, my math skills at that time. I'm using a calculator. I'm thinking, I can't be trusted with any of this stuff. And there was one of my favorite regulars, Morris, was there. And it felt so bad because he wanted to hang out. And I couldn't hang out. I could hang out because I'm right around the corner. But I couldn't hang out because I was done. I was done. So, yeah, he wanted to hang out, when you turn off the thing and the owner's areas. We enjoy his company. It's never a problem. But I said, I got to go. I am so sorry. And he didn't quite get it, but how I felt. And you really can't. How do you tell someone how exactly you feel? And say, because I didn't walk out. But normally there are people that would leave work at that time and ask to leave work and say, I'm sorry, I can't stay here anymore. I got to go. That's I would have done in some other circumstances, but not when I'm the lone man at the end of the night. So I stayed there. Luckily, our chef was still there, and he stayed with the people locking up. And when I got home, I parked the car, made sure I turned everything off. Had a hard time getting in the door because of the keys. It was dark. I didn't have the lights on, but I wasn't feeling the force, where I found the right key and put it in the door. So I go in. I'm thinking I can go right to bed right now. But then I said, I felt hot and cold, and all at the same time I said I better shower. Showering was a chore. It was incredible. I never felt that power of jet lag. And it's only 6 hours. We got people that come from Moscow. Moscow's a lot further. India. All those places. Tokyo, 12 hours. 12 hours difference, but it takes a lot longer, 12 hours to make the trip. It just never, I didn't know if it was my age or because I didn't prepare for it. Next time what I should have just done was, I think I should have stayed up late. Stayed up late 2 days till like 1, 2 in the morning. Slept at 8, 2 to 8. Get my 6 hours. If I get 6 hours, I'm okay. 2 to 8. And I'd be pretty good. I'd only be off like a couple hours, like three hours but that feeling was incredible. So I'm done talking about jet lag. I'm going to do something a little better next time. I've discovered B12. B12 drops work great for me, and some magnesium that helps you absorb, the energy from your food and do it more efficiently. That worked for me. And I went to the gym yesterday. Amazing thing about the gym, I haven't really done any major cardio. If you saw any pictures on the Facebook page that I have, Keys Bartender, or my personal one, Jim Horan, right? You saw that I was in the mountains, and we were up pretty high, and I get this burning sensation when we're doing some climbing, some vigorous climbing, not the the stuff where you use the pythons and the lines and all the spikes and all that stuff, but there was still pretty steep climbing. When I ran yesterday, I didn't get any of the burn. And you have to wear the hospital I work in, because we're in Florida, reinstituted the mask, and I didn't get the burn. So I guess maybe that hiking in the mountains worked as altitude training, and it helped me with my oxygen absorption. So now I got to keep on doing my oxygen thing, like doing hard cardio to keep that level up. And then maybe I should do that next time. Before I go, I'll train real hard with the mask on. Do a lot of cardio with the mask on. Use the stair stepper. That's probably the thing I should have used. The stair stepper for like a couple hours, and this way I'd be able to do that climbing. And not have that problem with the oxygen deprivation. So I get back to work. I'm on and back to swing of things. Daughter has her first. Luckily, we came back early enough that gave her time to adjust, because tomorrow's her first day of school, and it's her first day of high school. And today we went to an open house they had for the freshmen. And we picked up a friend of hers who's a sophomore, and she gave us kind of a tour and stuff like that. So Sky, friend Vicky, and she has other friends there. And Vicky's a sweetheart, good kid, really funny. And I'm looking at the school. I've been there before, but I don't know. The last time I was in there, one of the times, it was kind of rainy or cloudy. And it's Coral Shores High School in Tavernier, Florida. And it serves the Upper Keys. Everything from Lower Matacumbe up to Ocean Reef. So it's got a big range. It goes, 50 miles if you took the whole range. But it's, how the islands are. So it's all linear. So it's a big school for the area if you think about it, because the amount of people that live there is not that many people. So we go there. We see a lot of people we know. She sees a lot of her friends. The principal, I know the principal. I'm friendly with her, and some of the teachers from the gym and from bartending and things like that, and also the parents. And we're looking at the school, and it has a big open. It's an open plan school, what you call, because they have this big center courtyard that's open and sunny. Has, obviously it's concrete and stuff like that, but they got trees in there, and they got tables and things like that in the center. And they got this pod system for classrooms where you go in there and they have like 5 or 6 classrooms in each area. And that's where they have restrooms and stuff like that. You go in there. And it makes sense. And you got a big open plan. You just walk there. It's just a beautiful school. It's a beautiful school. And I know you've probably been in schools, but I haven't been exposed to like high schools in a very long time. Very, very long time. A matter of fact, the last time I did go to the high school, I spoke at the high school. I spoke to an English class about resiliency. And I don't even remember all this stuff. They got the big screen monitors where they use for, they sync with their laptops so they can go and put their lesson plans up there and stuff. My God, I would have definitely become a history teacher if that was around. My biggest thing was I wasn't going to be able to use the chalkboard because I'm left-handed and I'm a messy writer. And I'm not and the faster I write, the sloppier it is. So then I would be like explaining everything anyway. I was never really good with handwriting. I understand my handwriting mostly, and I'm not a quick one. The quicker I do it, the messier it is. But this thing, I could write notes. I was really good with note taking, and and that's what they do. They can put all the notes up on the monitor and stuff like that. It was beautiful. And not only that, but the way the classes were laid out, and how friendly the teachers were, and how supportive they were, and the resources they had. I just thought it was wonderful, and I thought, man, I went to Catholic boys' school, and obviously the kids are they're good-looking kids. They're all good-looking kids. The girls are pretty. The guys are handsome. And then, the regular groups come around a lot. So I thought, man, I probably wouldn't enjoy the social aspects as much. That's got to be terrifying. It's got to be terrifying. But the educational thing they seem to be on the ball in the way they describe it, and they give you a syllabus, and they tell you what they expect from you and what things you're going to need and how they're going to teach, and what's the percentage of online is going to be versus in person, and things like that, and what they do, what they expect from you, what they can do for you. I mean, it was just wonderful. I am really looking forward. And I told Sky, I said, you're very fortunate to be able to go to a place down here with this kind of high school. But then again, what do I know? Maybe a lot of high schools are like that now. The way they paint education in the United States, it seems like a shit. And then I go in there and I go, look at this. It looks exciting to me. It looks vibrant. It looks new. It looks like creative. Maybe there's a big reason for hope. I think a lot of times when you hear news, you just get this this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. You don't hear about the good stuff. And the good stuff is that education is doing well and there's a lot of people that are committed to it. And the kids look like they generally want to be there. And there were kids that come in and walking when the teachers were, we went to each classroom that Sky had, and the teachers would give a short speech and to everyone, try to gather them in there. And kids would stop along and give their little testimonials, the older kids. Oh, this is a great class. You're going to enjoy it. You know, these are the good, obviously these are good kids. And one of the girls said, hey, listen, I would have paid more attention in this, what is it called? My daughter is in honors algebra, which was, I'm very happy that she is. I'm surprised. But I was excited for her. I was sincerely excited for her that the school's so good. And I know in their heads, if there's a relationship or something going on, that could ruin it. The interpersonal relationships could ruin their experience when everything else is so phenomenal there. It's so phenomenal. I just hope, you know, it's a shame. It's a shame that, you know, that interpersonal thing becomes a barrier for people. And but it was exciting. It was exciting. I was happy about it. I don't know why I was happy about it. I told my daughter, I said, hey, listen, I'm going to go and try to get another speaking gig there. Maybe I could do like and rest in an auditorium. Like Jerry Seinfeld did when he got into middle school, do a set. We can do a comedy set for him. I could do motivational speaking and stuff like that. That's amazing because the one of the English teachers who's one of my friends I worked with her, she invited me to speak to her class. And there's always things to talk. I mean, I'm not a career day person to talk to them about, right? Because I'm a bartender. I'm not going to teach you any bartender. If you screw up no insult to people that are bartenders, stuff like that. But if you screw it up enough in high school, yeah, you can become a bartender. Or if you do well and you want to have an exciting job with a lot of different, you know. But my point is that I speak more to motivations and general philosophy. And I don't talk about politics or anything like that. It's just general life, how to get along, right? It's exciting. So my father and I'm going to speak to the elder Jim Horan. He was talking to me yesterday. We were on the phone for quite a little time because I was doing adjustments to my website for the Keys Notary. And people say, what the fuck is a notary? I mean, until you need one, you just, you know, look at my ID, stamp the thing, and, you know, I pay you $10, $20, whatever. That's a notary, right? Well, yeah, it generally is. But there's other things we do. We do loan packages, and you got to figure out what's the proper identification they need, the proper places to sign, who needs a sign, where they need to sign, what needs to be notarized, what additional information they need on some sheets, but you don't go into detail on that. There's more legal things where you have to get people, litigants or people that have lawsuits, when they have to accept the package or settlement, they have to sign and they have to have it, sometimes have it notarized, sometimes not. Sometimes they need a witness, sometimes they don't need a witness. So those things. And also I do wedding ceremonies and things like that. And there's places, sometimes law firms have to have, there's legal papers that need to be filed and stuff like that. And they don't need to do it in person. They just need someone to physically file. I think now with COVID, it's moving along the electronic thing, so I may have missed the boat for that. But I'm attempting to, you know, deal with law firms because they seem to have deep pockets and things like that. So I'm working on my website, The Keys Notary. That's the name of my website. You notice the pattern? The Keys Bartender, The Keys Notary. I try to make it simple, right? this is what I do. I'm a notary in the Keys. And then I put certified loan signing agent, legal courier, wedding officiant. People say, why don't you just put notary? I said, well, it's in the name, Keys Notary. Why would you repeat it? And these are my services where the fees start at. I didn't put in notary fees because notary fees are pretty much the same any place else. $10 for every notarized signature. But when you're traveling, you have to add a little, for traveling. So I just wanted to make self-explanatory. I just wanted clean. This is it. And I'm talking to my dad. My dad got in this conversation. He goes, and he started talking about, he's 80 years old. And he was talking about how his life, what course his life took. When he went to school and what happened in school, and then going into the Navy, when his friends decided they wanted to join the reserves when they were juniors in high school. He ended up going there and became an aviation electrician, and he enjoyed that, and he did some things in there. He did did some instructing and all that, and then when he came out, he worked in manufacturing and sales, and then went back into instructing when he went back after he finished almost 20 years in manufacturing in sales and in production. And he worked in the prisons. He taught prisoners life skills and computer skills and how vocational skills they need when they come out. And gave them advice on how to dress for that and present yourself and things like that. And he talked about how much he enjoyed that job, working at the prisons. And he also volunteered doing tax returns. But his main thing, he enjoyed the freedom that he had when he was working in manufacturing. He enjoyed the choices and the things he's done when he was in the Navy. He enjoyed the people he met in all those places, and especially in the prisons. A lot of times when he was taken on the tour of it first time, that guy takes him on a tour and wants to see if people are intimidated. And my dad said, he says, in the way he described it, he says every so often, it wasn't, he said 99% of the time, everyone was very happy to see him. Everyone was nice. They were very excited to go to the class. Men and women, they liked watching, what movie was he talking about? He was talking about a movie. I thought it was Saving Private Ryan, but he was watching another movie at the end. I'll probably bring it. And he said it really affected. He played a movie for him. He thought it would be kind of like a morale building movie. And I remember the one he said, but I can't recall it now. And he said, someone stayed behind. He said it really affected them. And he liked that. He liked the idea they go in there, and it was a better part of their day when they showed up for a vocational course in prison. And my father said it. He said it's mainly how you treat people, how they react back to you and stuff like that. And I kind of remember that because whenever I run into someone that's particularly on the surface would be unpleasant, that you can always try to change that first interaction or second interaction. Just say, listen, then we start off in as long as you treat them that way and they don't see it as, crass, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. But it was an exciting couple days back. I'm relaxed. I'm so I wouldn't have been able to do anything podcast on Saturday. Saturday I told you how I felt, and Sunday still recovering. Monday and Tuesday off, 2 days off. So the next couple of weeks I have 2.5 days off in a row, and that's going to be like wonderful. I love working. I love doing my other jobs too. But it's nice to be going to work fresh. Like I go into work today at 4:00. I look forward to it. And then I'm off tomorrow, Thursday. And maybe I'll have a signing then. Who knows? There's a lot of possibility. I'm looking forward to this upcoming fall season. I'm looking forward to doing a 500th episode coming up. And I'm looking for probably, if I get more time, I probably will try to do shows from different venues. I know I've been threatening to do that. You'd probably like it, wouldn't you? We'd like to hear some different voices, right? Is that what you're trying to say? Well, I appreciate you for listening. I'd like to thank everyone that helped, when I was on Poland. I'd like to thank the people that gave us a tour. Justina, the beautiful Justina, and LOT, and Justina Manco, the beautiful Carolina Manco, the handsome Casper Manco, and the wonderful parents, Aga and Robert Manco. They were very friendly to us over there, and my family over there, my every Kasha and Jeshik, my nephews, Alex and Casper, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and my brother-in-law Bogdan, and Edita, Bartek, my nephew Bartek, who's in his early 20s, gave me a tattoo. I'll post that. I'll post a new tattoo. It's on the other arm. I was going to get it around the swords, but for some reason it's hard to get a balance on the swords because we have it on a muscle. So some of it looks long, some of it looks short. Am I missing people over there? I'm missing somebody. Oh, my Gosha, Margaret, who is over there. That's Abby's second youngest sister. And her daughter, Muriel, beautiful girl, sweet girl. My daughter Sky and Abby. It was just a beautiful, lovely vacation for me, and it was an experience I'll remember. I do appreciate that. I think it's always, it's always a good investment in time for yourself. Whatever you enjoy doing, whatever recharges your battery. It just gives you a fresh perspective on life, I think. There's a lot of good things out there, and try to afford some time off for yourself, even if it's a little. Especially all through the trouble that we have. Just go and do it and enjoy, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Well, if you like the show, please share it with your family and friends. I'd like to ask you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And that's the Keys Bartender. If you have any questions for me, you can email them to me at jim@keysbartender.com or message me on any of those social pages. I'd like to thank you very much. And here we go. I'm going to go out with a little music.